Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of the MJ Sports Podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm joined by Jonas, and this is your week of sports in review.
Sports. 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 Woo! And we are back once again for probably a little bit shorter of an episode this week, Mark, because there's really not too much going on.
Yeah, we're kind of reaching that lull where, we're waiting for the MLB to start up. All that's really going right now is the NBA and the NHL, and, we're still in the middle of college basketball, so there's really not a whole lot of
And
news, but
the sad thing is no one cares about NBA or NHL regular season.
I know.
And I don't know if that's... Maybe we just don't enjoy those sports as much because... Well, I don't know if it's that or if it's because baseball plays like every single day that it seems like it's more entertaining to keep up with. I don't know. But I guess the real big news coming from this week was, I think just a day or two ago, Jalen Johnson, a projected top 10 NBA pick that has been playing for Duke this year, he has opted out of the remainder of the season. Now, I know he had an ankle injury and missed a couple of games, and very last game he played 8 minutes. Really didn't look very good, and I don't know if that was due to just trying to overcome, his ankle or what, but really, in my opinion, he didn't look that great for the whole season. Now, I heard Seth Greenberg, like, yesterday, talking, like, it was like, he's quitting on his team, like, making this massive assumption, like, 5 minutes after the news broke, and I was thinking, well, that's obviously for clickbait, but I don't know. What do you think, Mark? Is opting out for this dude a bad decision or a good decision?
I mean, honestly, this is the season to do it if you're going to do it. With COVID going on, Duke's having a rough season. Um,
Well, to be fair, I think we were like 2-0 in the games that he didn't play.
oh well, there's that. But I think, you said he's got an ankle injury. I don't think it's going to hurt him that bad, to be honest. I mean, again, with COVID, you already have some people who've opted out. Obviously, not too many big names in the men's college basketball side, but I mean, I feel like I don't know. Like I don't think he should declare for the draft coming off of this or anything. Like,
Well, here's the thing. If you opt out now, he didn't really specify a reason. Like, if he would have opted out and said, the virus, I know I played some, but it's coming back or something, or my ankle, if it was for the virus, it might, I think it'd still be dumb, but at least I think people would respect that. But the ankle, like, for sure that he would just be going for the draft. He might as well just declare for the draft because he's not coming back to Duke. I wouldn't think, even though really he really hasn't even played as good as the last top 10 players that we've had. You know,
I mean, if he was a real player, he'd go play at Wisconsin. He'd redshirt his freshman year, so he'd have 5 seasons, and
that's right.
he'd never declare for the draft. And that's real basketball right there. So you never see this in the Big Ten. That's all I'm saying.
Man, speaking of Wisconsin, what happened? You guys are falling apart.
We're actually, it's not as bad as it looks. We've actually been playing in some pretty close games. Michigan absolutely blew us out in the previous game we played against them earlier this season, and we did have a little bit of a collapse. But I'm telling you, Michigan is a. I've watched both Michigan games against Wisconsin, and I've watched some bits and pieces of them in Big Ten play. Michigan is really, really good. Like, if you haven't watched them play, they're one of the best defensive teams in the country by far. I mean, they are really good, and they've missed. I think it was they were at like 20 days or something like that because of COVID.
Mm.
So, I mean, I think part of it with Wisconsin is they usually hit a stretch like this in their season about this time. You know, they kind of reach the middle of Big Ten play and they start to struggle, and then usually they pick it back up at the end. So I'm not too worried. For the most part, they're still playing, you know, pretty good basketball. They're just not finishing out games. I think we'll be better when it kind of comes to the end of the season. But
Hey, at least you're going to be in the tournament.
that's true.
I will say, I think the best ACC team right now is looking like Florida State. They just beat Virginia like a day ago by like 15. They got, Virginia is the best defensive team in the ACC, and usually, top 10 in the country at least. And I think they were like giving up like 48 points per game for the season, and Florida State they were winning 40-20 at halftime. So Florida State is probably the ACC's best shot this year, but it seems like they always tend to choke whenever they're ranked in the, top 15 or whatever. So
Yeah, I'm excited to get to the tournament here. We've got some different tournament's going to look a little bit different this year. Duke and Kentucky, non-participants really.
I don't know, Duke going to win the ACC tournament with that automatic bid.
Illinois State's going to win the Missouri Valley and do the same thing. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a couple really good teams this year, so I think we'll have some exciting matchups.
I'm kind of, I'm excited for there to be a little bit of variety besides, I mean, granted, Kentucky hasn't really been really good since, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago.
Right.
But Kansas and Duke are usually always, I mean, Duke has made the Elite Eight like the past 3 years. Kansas seems to make it pretty far. Gonzaga always seems to be ranked high, but they can't quite pull it off. So I'll be interested. Same thing with Baylor a lot too. That seems like they get ranked high and can't quite pull it off. So I'm excited. I honestly, I will cheer for Wisconsin. Just because, why not? They always seem like they're a fun team to watch whenever they get in the tournament.
I mean, the thing with Wisconsin is they usually start most of their starting lineup is upperclassmen, and you don't see that on a lot of teams. So you usually see a pretty polished game and a pretty good game regardless of the opponent. But you see, my real pick's just going to be whoever comes out of the Missouri Valley. That's America's best conference right there.
It's going to be Loyola Chicago again.
That's right.
See, the team I always choose is Northern Iowa. Ever since, I just want to throw this out there. Whenever they beat Kansas like 13 years ago, I picked them to beat Kansas that year. I just want to say that. So, ever since that year.
Maybe Florida Gulf Coast makes another run.
Oh, maybe you bring back Dunk City or whatever they were called. So, well, you want to get into the MLB?
Yeah, so we actually, at the time of recording, there's some pretty big news. One of the MLB's biggest, youngest stars, Fernando Tatis Jr., just signed a massive deal. Now, mind you, he's 22 years old. Okay. The contract is 14 years for $340 million, which is insane when you think about the fact that, he's been in the league for 2 years now. Granted, he's been phenomenal since he's come up, and he's clearly one of the best young stars in the game. Do you feel like this contract may be a tad bit, premature?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 1 year too early. I don't know. But usually you kind of see a second year slump more often than maybe that third year. I mean, you kind of had that case with like that, Aquino guy from the Reds kind of really fell off after he had a massive 2 months to end the season. Although, I don't know, I figure, Gary Sanchez is not quite the best model to say, oh, he's had a third year slump. He kind of has always had a slump. So, so I don't know. I 2 years. Everyone thought Juan Soto was going to have a terrible year last year, and he had a phenomenal year, and it was just overlooked because the Nationals were so bad. So I don't know. After thinking about it, I'd go for it. Why not?
I mean, personally, I agree with you. It may be, I mean, he's 22. They still have control, of him. They would still theoretically have control over him for a couple of years, through arbitration and things. But, I mean, I like the move. I mean, everything so far indicates, I mean, Tatis is a phenomenal player. He's great on the base paths. He's a great fielder. The guy's a freaking athlete, and he can rake at the plate. So, I like the move. I mean, the Padres.
The only thing I'll say, maybe why I would have waited, is because you only had a 60-game sample size this past year, and it might be nice just to see him for a full, let's say he takes like 15 games off, full like 145 games
Yeah.
season. That would have been probably mostly the reason I might have just waited.
Well, they've got some pretty big contracts over in San Diego right now because they've got Manny Machado, who's also on a $300 million deal. And you've got Clevinger, who's making good money. I mean, they've got some capital tied up in some players. And you know what? I'm glad the Padres are in win now mode. They were so bad for, so many years there.
Well, I find it interesting that they go from like rebuilding for 15 years to instantly win now. Because now I feel like, I mean, they got like Clevinger and all the guys they trade. I don't even remember who all they traded for at this point.
Snell.
Yeah, Snell. They didn't get. Did they get Darvish too, or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, they did get Darvish.
Oh, see, it's like, what in the world?
I mean,
So like to me they got like 3 or 4 years to win a championship. Otherwise, I mean they're competing with the Dodgers. They won't have Mike Clevinger this year. Unless they can beat the Dodgers, man. It might just be a total waste.
Isn't it a shame that the Dodgers and Padres are in the same division? Like,
oh, it is. I'm just hoping they don't do this stupid thing where we only play players from your same division, so then the Rangers have to play both these teams like 20 times again after we just did it.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, but yeah,
Man.
I mean, Padres are dishing out some money. It's about time some other teams did the same.
I'm just glad a smaller market team, even though San Diego, I mean, kind of think California, not small market. Even with like the Angels, you don't really think so big market team because of the Dodgers. But it is nice to see a smaller market team actually do something, especially after San Diego getting absolutely robbed by the Chargers for moving. Like,
Yeah, and well, it's about time the Pirates did the same. The Rays keep winning with their low payroll, and as much as that annoys me, I mean, as long as they're winning,
well, the thing with the Rays is, yeah, they're going to keep winning, but
they're never going to get a World Series.
they're never going to win the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Like, even as a fan, like, you have to know, like, as long as we keep doing this, we're never going to win. We'll always be good, never going to win.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you've got the Pirates who have effectively been rebuilding for the last 45 years, it seems.
Well, the Pirates are like the combination of all of your worst fears.
They have an awful owner who every time they, get some players and they decide to pay them, wants to move on from them because the team's not ready to win. Like, they traded away Josh Bell, and they get rid of any decent talent that they have. As soon as
Don't forget about Garrett Cole,
Yeah,
Tyler
yeah, Garrett
Glasnow,
Cole.
Austin Meadows.
Tyler Glasnow and Austin Meadows for Chris Archer.
That's right. It's because they were in win now mode, even though they had like a losing record.
They were 6 games behind in the NL Central at that point.
Well, they had to make a move. They had to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, the Pirates are a mess, but they're starting off another rebuild. So if you're a Pirates fan, you have something to look forward to.
Yeah, at least you don't have to listen to Corvette with the Pirates.
Well, that's a big contract there. But I would say the biggest re-signing, coming home, happened yesterday, as of the day of recording, which would have been Tuesday. The mayor of Ding Dong City has come back home. And if you don't know who I'm referring to, Travis Shaw is back with the Brewers.
Let me just say, he's straight trash.
Now,
I'm going to be saying that every time he gets up the bat, just so I can inspire him to hit a home run.
yeah, so no one's probably getting this, but
Yes.
essentially, Jonas has watched a lot of Brewers games with me. And every time Travis Shaw would come up to the plate, Jonas would say, "Oh, Travis Shaw sucks." I'm not kidding you. Travis Shaw would hit a home run every time. Like, it was like there was like games where like Jonas would say it twice, and sure enough, Travis Shaw would have a 2 home run game that day, or he'd have a 3. Like, it was insane. So,
Well, and I remember you would always start laughing because you'd get like a notification
I know.
right before it actually happened.
yeah, it was so. Travis Shaw, Milwaukee as a whole at third base. It's a minor league deal with an invite to camp. I think there's a decent shot he actually breaks the team.
You better bet he's going to be on my fantasy team at some point.
Hey,
It might be my last draft pick.
but no, it's just it's one of our favorite signings. We love Travis Shaw here at the MJ Sports Podcast. Travis,
that we do. Let's get Travis Shaw.
Travis, on the off chance that you are listening to this,
let's just message this to him directly.
Yeah, you are more than welcome to come on here, because we love you, Travis. So
that's right.
The other big baseball news broke, and this is this is heartbreaking for a lot of true baseball fans. One of the game's greatest prospects
That's right.
is retiring before he even gets really much of a chance in the bigs. Tim Tebow officially announced his retirement.
It's back to the NFL.
Oh gosh.
He can be, honestly, maybe it just comes full circle and he's the quarterback for the Steelers.
Or the Patriots.
Oh, baby.
I mean,
that's right.
You got to think Tim Tebow might still be able to throw a better football than Cam Newton.
Honestly. He can probably run just as well.
Yeah. But
I see those Tim Tebow workout videos. He's like pulling a truck.
I mean, the guy's definitely still in shape.
Yeah, maybe it's time for him to try out the NBA.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's really into his broadcasting, because I know he does a lot of stuff with College Game Day. So
Yeah.
he might want to focus more on that. So
Well, the only reason he was ever in the minor leagues is because the Mets wanted to make a quick dollar.
and that they did. Even though they denied it, as soon as they signed him, their AAA like jersey sales went way up, and I actually saw they gave him an invite to spring training this year, as well, and it was driving people crazy because they're like, Tim Tebow's never going to realistically be a big leaguer. They're like, you're taking away a roster spot from somebody who's spent their whole life being a player.
They should have just, one of these last couple of years, they should have just promoted him to the big leagues like the last month of the season when they were there out of the playoffs. And just to try to get more ticket sales and just stuff like that.
I agree.
And then just say, hey, Tim, you should probably retire at the end of the season. So.
Well, I'm just waiting on Brady to take on the MLB when he retires. So.
Oh boy. Maybe Kyler Murray heads back over there at some point.
I have a feeling he might have the similar clause in his contract that Russell Wilson had that says he can't play baseball.
Mm,
So
yeah, he probably does. I wonder if he even read his contract. Probably not. That's
probably
what agents are for.
yeah, his team probably did it, but
Well, Mark, it's a month away from baseball. We'll probably end up having, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but just having a full episode dedicated to our fantasy teams. I think that'd be pretty entertaining down the road.
no, I definitely agree. We are avid fantasy baseball fans, so
That's right.
we'll keep you all up to date on how our season's going, and we're going to be drafting here, over the next couple weeks, so
Yeah.
probably give our initial post draft rankings.
Yep. That'll be. It's time to start doing some research on that end. I can't have a repeat of last year. Absolute garbage. But we're wanting to keep this episode relatively short, so we won't get into that too much. But honestly, the one piece of news out of the NBA that I think somewhat intriguing is the Utah Jazz have the best record in the NBA, and literally no one cares. Are they actually good, Mark?
I really couldn't tell you because I watch about as much of the NBA as I do of the MLS.
Honestly, I mean, I literally just watch like 1 minute little clips of some of the games, uh, just to see what's going on. But yeah, the Jazz. I think they're like 23-5 or something like that. Which incredibly, because I don't think they're playing a full season, are they?
No, I know it's a slightly shortened season
I
this year.
mean, we're getting close to like halfway through the season almost, which seems incredible. Um, I don't know. To me, they seem like really anytime you tell me LeBron, is in the conference and he's paired with another top 10 player. Now, granted, Anthony Davis is going to be out. I guess that's some news. Anthony Davis out for till at least March 5th. But I don't know. To me, I still think it's between the Clippers and the Lakers. And that's assuming the Clippers can make it to play the Lakers. Because I think they have the best matchup in the West. The Clippers do against the Lakers. But if the Clippers lose to another team, like if the Clippers have to play the Jazz, like that would be rough, I feel like, for them. But if the Clippers play the Lakers in the second round, because right now they're 2 and 3 seed, I don't know, maybe they can give them a run for their money. And I don't know, to me the Jazz, I just feel like are going to end up being like the Raptors every year that were like number 1 seed for. To me, they're a good regular season team.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, usually I don't really start tuning into the NBA too much until pretty much the finals. So.
Yeah. Well, I will say, Mark, I think that Chris Paul trade for the Suns might be working out because they're probably going to make the playoffs now. And actually, teams like the Nuggets and the Mavs, who really didn't do too much. I mean, the Mavs lost Seth Curry and picked up Josh Richardson to try to improve defense. That has not helped them at all. And the Nuggets, Jamal Murray had like 2 good playoff series, and this season has been utter trash. And, Fat Man Jokic can't carry the team every game, unfortunately for the Nuggets.
He's the MVP though.
Yeah, I would have thought, but he's like, at least in the projected rankings, he's like 5th. I could not believe it. I was like, what in the world?
Can't believe they're doing that to my fantasy star.
I know, literally incredible fantasy. But
I mean, I'm still, the Bulls are about to go on a run here. Trust me. And
hey, the Spurs are looking pretty good at the young squad. They were like 7th, 8th seed, something like that.
I saw that.
I think we could make it with the the little reduced season if we can keep it up. Deontay Murray missed like the last half of last season, which is why we started to be so bad. And Derek White missed a lot of the year. So our two young, point guards and slash shooting guards, they're playing well. DeRozan's playing well. LaMarcus Aldridge is playing well when he actually plays. So granted, I saw maybe the Clippers trade for him. I don't know how true that is, considering they have like a Ibaka and whatnot. But
I mean, with my Bulls, Zach LaVine's been looking real good this year so far. Wendell Carter's still doing his classic move of, as soon as he starts getting in a rhythm, he gets hurt for 2 months. So, I mean, it's good to see some things don't change. And,
Kobe White has been pretty nice.
Yeah, Kobe White is still he's a little inconsistent. He shoots the ball too much. That's his problem. But I will say, I think obviously Bulls have a ways to go. But having Billy Donovan, I think, has really helped in some of the development of some of these players. Because the Bulls are playing better basketball than they were last year. They are not closing out games very well. But, I mean, there's part of this, too, is them needing to figure out, who they're going to keep going forward. Because the Bulls brought in a completely new regime. Thank goodness. It only took 20 years. But, they got to figure out, is it worth keeping Markkanen and build, having him as a core part of the team. What do we think about Wendell Carter? Is Kobe White better suited as a point guard or maybe an off-the-ball type of guy? There's a lot of questions that still need to be answered there, but, Bulls are ticking up, a little bit. I still wish they would have brought back, my favorite coach, Tom Thibodeau, who, actually isn't having a bad run with the Knicks right now.
Well, he managed to get Derrick Rose back on his team.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks aren't as bad as I thought they were going to be.
Julius Randle's been really good this year.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Knicks are 6th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Granted, do they have a losing record?
Yeah, they're 14 and 15.
Yeah, the East is back to being horrible again. I don't know. Yeah, that is not even like Milwaukee is probably 4th seed, and they're like 20 and 16 or something. Like
that. I think they're on a 6-game losing streak right now.
Man, Giannis. The next thing you know, we're going to be hearing free Giannis, and he just signed like a multi-year extension, like a moron.
Well, I saw the Bucks against the cellar dwellers of the East are like 10 and 2. Against everyone else, they have a losing record.
I'll tell you right now, it's because Giannis is not the player I'd want on my team. He can't shoot a basketball. Cannot shoot it. I don't care how athletic he is. You can't win if you can't shoot the ball. So, that probably is going to make people mad listening. But, it's just fact. So. Well, Mark, that's enough of the NBA. I think. My next real question is probably the most exciting news, and I meant to ask you about this last week, but I was so enthralled in our GOAT conversation I forgot about it. Aaron Rodgers is engaged to Shailene Woodley out of absolutely nowhere. What are your thoughts? And is this going to be a good fit for Rodgers as a wife?
Well, I'm going to be honest. Before Rodgers announced his engagement, I had no idea who Shailene Woodley was.
Whoa, Divergent, I think, that movie series.
Oh, that was a very forgettable movie series.
It was like one good movie on the first one,
yeah,
and then I don't even remember what was supposed to happen in the end.
Yep. But I mean, I kind of thought with the way Rogers has been different this year. If you've watched his interviews, and I've kind of thought that he was dating somebody. I wasn't thinking he was gonna announce he was engaged. That because Rogers is just, he's not as open. He's not a very open person. Um, he. That's why watching some of his Pat McAfee interviews are pretty interesting because he doesn't really delve much into his personal life. And obviously, the first time we heard about this engagement was during his MVP acceptance. So, I this seems like the most Rodgers thing to do. Um, it just I want to. I don't know. It's strange. I mean, Rodgers. He's dated Olivia Munn in the past. He's dated Danica Patrick. Both haven't really heard any details about him. Neither one seemed too pleased after the breakup. So I don't know how this is gonna go. But good for Rodgers. I'm glad that Rodgers has found somebody that makes him happy. And he talked about how he had made some better personal decisions in his life over this past year, and I'm a firm believer that one of those good influences was Shailene Woodley after this MVP season.
Well, just real quick, there might be some background noise. That's my heater in my apartment. I don't know if Mark, if you can cut that out, but in editing, but just in case anyone was wanting to know. But yeah, she's like 28 and he's like 37, which I mean that's really no big deal. But yeah, kind of interesting. Well, honestly, what I think is more funny is that Murr from the Impractical Jokers got married before Aaron Rodgers, so that was kind of funny, I thought. But considering Rodgers is much more attractive, but maybe he doesn't have the comedy that Murr does. So
I think Rodgers is, he's a little picky. So
I think you're probably right.
And I
considering
don't
the
think,
other women he's dated. So
and I don't think he typically rushes into things. I don't know how long they've been dating. I saw a rumor that he was dating someone, pretty close to after when him and Danica broke up. So I have no idea about any of that, but
I just want to see like them together. I don't know when the next time that would even happen or be a possibility, but it just is gonna be so odd to me. But good for Aaron. Good for him. Good for him.
yeah.
So
That's the MVP right there.
that's right. And that just goes to show, if you're not married yet, you're not dating someone yet.
You have until you're 37.
You have until you're 37, and that's looking like Aaron Rodgers. So looks like we all can do it.
Yeah. This is turning into a dating podcast. Relationship advice from two single guys.
That's right. You got to inspire hope. But well, that pretty well just about does it. The next part would be the sports we don't care about section, and this week we actually are going to have a little bit extended tennis talk is what I'm going to call it, and do that with a young lady named Faith, and she is a tennis player, and I did that interview and kind of talk yesterday. We talked about the Australian Open that's going on right now, their first few rounds, and pretty well up into the quarterfinals. I will say the Rafael Nadal versus Tsitsipas match hadn't happened yet, and the Djokovic versus Sasha Zverev had not happened yet at time of recording. Djokovic did end up winning that match to get into the semifinals. So, maybe we bring that back again next week to talk about the semifinals and the championship matches. So I think Mark's just going to tack that on here at the end. And, thanks for listening to the first half of the MJ podcast. Maybe this week it was the MJ dating advice / comedy show a little bit, but thank you all. We appreciate your listenership.
Yeah, we'll be back next week.
Welcome back, guys, to a special edition of the MJ Sports Podcast. Today we are going to be talking some tennis, and I am joined by the number 7 ranked high school female tennis player in the state of Missouri, Faith Taylor. Let's give her a big round of applause here.
It's good to be here.
Yes. So today, Mark will not be here for this little special edition. He usually doesn't talk too much about tennis anyway. So I figured I would just have an actual tennis athlete, our first actual current athlete on the show. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about kind of the keys to success for Faith and how she plays the game and how she has become such a, how she became number 7 in the state of Missouri. And then we'll get on a little bit into the Australian Open that is going on. And we're just about into the semifinals, just about got it all filled out. And so Faith, not to be an interviewer here or anything, I don't want to pressure you too much. But
I understand.
So I guess my first question is, how many trophies have you won? I'm sure everyone wants to know.
Oh, as you can see behind me, medal. I've gotten a lot of medals actually for tennis because that's just the way they do it. I guess it's just medals. But I have 4, I think, and so one of them is from state, and one of them is second place Waynesville tournament, and one is a Helias tournament, which I won as a freshman, and then my third one, and I'd have to turn around and look, but
well, that's okay, because and just to clarify, all those towns are towns in Missouri, so but so Faith, what would you say are maybe the top 3 keys to success for maybe not only you but other tennis players, even going all the way to Serena Williams, Djokovic, Federer, some of these really skilled players? What should, beginners of tennis, people just starting out watching, what should they really be looking for from some of these top players?
Well, consistency is a big one. You don't want to if you're beginning tennis, you don't want to start off with all these cool special moves that you don't know quite yet. You want to just make sure that you keep it in and over the net, obviously. But consistency is a big one. For me personally, going into a match with a good mindset helps tremendously. Tennis, for the people who don't know, is 50% mental and 50% physical. So for me, when I get frustrated, I have to just keep my cool and don't get frustrated, or else that'll mess up my game. 3, I'd probably say, I don't know, you gotta know. Well, you gotta have a strong serve. I'd probably say that's the 3rd one. You gotta have a good serve. Make sure when you throw, toss the ball, that you have to have a good toss when you serve it. And yeah, you gotta a strong serve really helps, because you can get a bunch of aces too, which would be nice. So
yes, well, I think like you said, consistency, I'd have to agree with you on that, being the number 1, because you see Djokovic, Serena Williams, Nadal, and even though Federer is not currently playing, it seems like these players just, they always are just getting it in, making the other player make mistakes. So
yeah, that's what you want to do. And it's okay to it's okay to do certain shots, but that definitely consistency helps a lot.
Yeah. So let's get into the Australian Open a little bit, and let's start with maybe a second round matchup. And I'm not sure if you watched this one, and but I talked about it a little bit already last week on the podcast, and that was Wawrinka versus, honestly, a guy I had never heard of, but his name was Fucsovics. And that set went into 5 sets. Wawrinka had 18 match points, but ultimately lost. So, honestly, another question here. What would you do if you're Wawrinka and you have 18 match points and you end up losing? How do you go into your next match thinking, I even have a chance of winning again? Like, I would just get so frustrated with that.
If I lost,
Yeah, if you had 18 match points and you lost.
If I was up 2 sets, is what you're saying?
No. I'm saying, like, Wawrinka in that match, throughout the match, he had 18 match points to try and win, right?
Oh,
but he lost. He couldn't win any of those 18 match points. So
yeah, that'd be pretty frustrating, knowing that you have that, you can do that.
But what match so far has stood out the most to you? I don't, I think we've been trying to do a pretty good job of watching it. Or maybe not the most excellent at watching these matches because, we're trying to record them and watch them because they're overnight. But
I'll go ahead and say a person who has stuck out to me, even though I don't know if you recently watched, but he lost. The number 3 lost to, I think, 18 or something team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was the second round against Kyrgios. He was down 2 sets. Kyrgios was just firing it out, and he was up 2 sets. And then Kyrgios just tried this sick move of his own, which was like under the leg or something, and it did not work. So that kind of helped. That was kind of a dumb move on my part, on my opinion. But Thiem is known for his comebacks. As you know, last year he was down 2 sets and came back 3 sets and ended up winning the whole thing in the U.S. Open, and he did it again. So that was a fun match to watch, but it stinks because he ended up losing in the next round. But I don't know if he was hurt or just tired, but that match stood out.
Well, like you said, you don't want to be attempting too many crazy shots. Kyrgios, he is such a fun guy to watch because, honestly, because he just does the most random, dumb stuff in the world. Like, I could not tell you why he went for that between the legs shot. He could have just done a nice little easy, slice drop shot. And for those of you listening, a slice drop shot is just where the player comes up to the net and it just barely kind of taps the ball right over the net. But instead he goes for a wild shot. And, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that was because I don't know if he normally does that but like it seems pretty stupid to do it when you're up that much.
Yeah, I don't. Well, and really, he could have won the match. Going into the match, I thought he would probably lose 3-1 and just win 1 set because he has such a powerful serve.
Yeah.
But I'll say we have to remember he hasn't played since the Australian Open last year, so it's been a little over a year since he's even played. So I thought it was impressive he did so well against Thiem, and then like you said, next round Thiem, and really a lot of players I think have had the injury bug in this tournament.
There's been quite.
So, and actually the guy that Thiem lost to, because he lost 3-0, and the last set he lost 6-0. There's no way Thiem healthy loses to a guy named, it's Dimitrov is who he lost to, the number 18 guy. I mean, I haven't seen Thiem ever lose 6-0.
Especially, 6-0, 3-0. That's. But I don't see how that happened. I don't know if he got hurt in the Kyrgios match and just didn't, and he just hit it. But Yeah, that is shocking.
Yeah, and then actually Dimitrov in the next round, uh, he won the first set against the guy, and then his back started tightening up. He was like barely moving. I don't know if you watched that one because it was like a lower profile match, but
And who was that? That was who?
it was Dimitrov versus the Cinderella story of the Australian Open. I hadn't heard of him. Not even John McEnroe, who's like announcing these games, has heard of this guy. He is ranked 100. I think it was like 114th, is what McEnroe said. A guy named Aslan Karatsev from Russia, and he beat
Do not know his.
he beat Dimitrov to go into the semifinals of the Australian Open. I have no idea, never heard of him, but I will say a reminder, Faith, that Medvedev is from Russia. Maybe he's practicing with Medvedev.
I mean, I could see that. Yeah.
I mean, how important? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go. You can go.
Well, I was going to ask, how important is it to have a playing partner, somebody you practiced with, that's, as good as you are, or maybe a little bit better than you are, in order to kind of train and get better? How important is that?
It's very important. You kind of. I mean. Yeah. I like for playing. I'd say playing with someone on your level is like more fun, but definitely playing with someone a little bit higher than you can get you more practice. It can make you more like, what's the word that you use, like keep like running, keeping in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of a good word to, because.
I definitely say I play at my high school. This is going to be my last year, and the guy that I play with, he is going to be gone for my upcoming senior year, so I'm going to have to find a new one. But yeah, definitely hitting with a harder player helps you be able to hit harder against them, power on power.
Right. Well, and I know, this is a funny story. I know one of my old professors in racquetball, he was like a god at racquetball, would beat everybody, and he was saying that he trained up this other guy that he was friends with by just playing him left-handed until the other guy got good enough to beat him left-handed, and then he switched to his right hand and started practicing. So
Wow.
So really, and honestly, I know we've played quite a bit against each other, and I think playing against each other, I'd say we're pretty similar. If not, you're better than me now, honestly. But
Yeah, you had some credit, man. You've helped me out.
well, and I think that's why, if Medvedev is playing this guy, and we can't forget about Andrei Rublev, also from Russia, another guy he's ranked number 7, and actually he's playing Medvedev in the quarterfinals later tonight. These three Russian guys, if they're playing and helping practice each other, I mean, they could be really good going forward, and if they play any team sports or team matches.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you watched very much of the Nadal matches?
I have. He played the second round. He played a guy named Mo, I think.
Yeah. It was a weird spelling of Mo too. It's not like M-O. It was like M-U-H or something like that.
He won that one pretty easy. I wouldn't say that one was very interesting, but who did he play? I heard also, speaking of back problems, Nadal apparently has a back problem.
Well, and Djokovic does too. I mean, it seems like everybody's hurt. Well, Nadal, his last match was against a guy named Fonini, who was number 16, and had actually beaten Nadal 4 times. So it looked promising in the first set. I don't know if you had watched that one yet, but have you watched that one or not?
Oh, I don't think I have, no.
Yeah, so Nadal won it in 3 sets. Fognini had a chance in the first set to win the first set after he broke Nadal, and then Nadal broke back and ended up winning the first set, and then easily won the second and third set. Now,
Yeah.
if you had to guess, how many sets in a row do you think Nadal has won?
In a row?
Yeah.
Has he lost one?
He has not lost one in the Australian Open, but even going back before then, because it is an incredible number. It is astounding.
I mean, if you know, that's pretty amazing if you know, but I don't know if I know.
This is kind of what my setup was for a shocking announcement here. Nadal has won 33 sets in a row without losing.
Wow.
The record is Federer with 36. So if Nadal wins this next match, he would tie.
He would tie, yeah.
So, and he plays.
Who knows how tennis works? That's a big accomplishment right there.
Yeah, because what? You have to go, each game, to win one game in a set, you have to win 4 points, essentially, and it's win by 2.
So that's basically winning how many points in a row?
Well, not necessarily points, because you win one game, and then you have to win 6 of these games, win by 2. So it could be 7-5 even, or it goes to a tie break, right? Which would, if you won the tie break, you'd win 7-6. So he's won, 6, but he hasn't really been winning just like 7-6, 7-5. I mean, like you said, that one against Mo, he just cruised through. So.
Yeah, like 6-2, 6-1, 6-0, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'll be interested. He plays Tsitsipas upcoming tonight, and Tsitsipas was supposed to play a guy named Matteo Berrettini, ranked number 9, and he forfeited the match due to injury. Tsitsipas got a free win. Basically got a free like $500,000 because the other guy forfeited.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder why he didn't even try to play.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, we've talked about the men quite a bit, and we're, we got Djokovic. Right now, I think Nadal's playing the most consistent, out of everyone. He seems pretty healthier than a lot of the other guys, even though, like you said, maybe his back's kind of hurting him a little bit. To me, I think Nadal's probably going to win this. I don't. Who's your pick for the men's?
Yeah, if Nadal can keep doing what he's doing, then, I mean, yeah, but I will, like, with Djokovic, there's been a few matches where he, like, the other opponent has kind of stayed pretty close with him, but I don't know, I feel like Djokovic is stronger in my opinion, but Nadal is more consistent, so it's just which one's gonna work, but they're both of their serves are really good, but yeah, my pick's probably I don't know. I gotta say my pick's probably Djokovic. I hate to say it, but honestly, I mean,
I would rather Djokovic win. If it was between Djokovic and Nadal, I'd rather Djokovic win. But
I mean, I gotta stick with my lefties because I am a lefty, but which also that does help because there are not very many left-handed tennis players out there, so.
I can't believe you choose Nadal. Disgraceful. But
also, I bring up. You mentioned breaking like the other person's serve.
Yeah.
About how Nadal in that one match. Just wanted to say that if breaking the other person's serve is a really good advantage, if you can do that can tremendously help you in a match as well.
Yes, for sure. Especially if you have a big serve, if you can get that break and the other person can't break you, that's why guys like Kyrgios and like Zverev has a good serve. If you can get the ace, like you said, the aces, and another big serve. If we transition into the women's side of the match, we know it's going to be Serena versus Osaka in the semifinals.
Yes, that is going to be an exciting match.
So,
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
okay, well, I was just gonna say, well, first off, who are you rooting for?
I'm probably going for Osaka in it just to see somebody else win. But
Yeah, I love my girl Osaka, but like she's won like the past at least 2 years, and like Serena's getting pretty old, so I don't know how many years she has left. So I mean, I'm kind of for either one, but like Serena, it'd be cool if she won this year.
yes, I mean, I think it will be cool for whoever, either of them win. But it's not the championship match between them. It's only a semifinal match. You can't forget about the other side. Ashley Barty, the number 1 seed from Australia, trying to win, her home major in Australia, and it would be nice for her if they can get fans back in the stadium, because just a few days ago Australia went back on lockdown. So if they can get fans back in the stadium for her semifinal match, assuming she wins her quarterfinal later tonight, then I don't know, she might have the home field advantage.
And that honestly helps somewhat, but I don't know, this COVID thing is whack.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get too much into that, but yeah, there's 2 other American women that are playing, and I think one of them, her name's Jennifer Brady, and she's like number 22, and then she's playing one of her friends, Jessica Pagula, I think is her name, and she's not even ranked. I think she's outside the top 50, but I don't know who's going to win that one.
I don't really know that girl.
Yeah, well, I never heard of either of them until they made it to the quarterfinals. So, but I think obviously the winner, I think, is probably going to be Osaka or Serena. I don't think anybody on the other side is going to be able to beat Serena or Osaka. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm honestly surprised that Serena isn't higher. Because, like, I mean, I don't know if we already mentioned this, but she beat the number 2, Halep, or whatever her name is.
Yeah, Halep.
Yeah, so that was a good match.
And she won that one 6-3, 6-3. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah. For how old she is, she's still moving around pretty good this year, seems like.
Yep. That must be good fitness, is all I can say. I wish I was as fit as she was.
Yeah.
But I guess we all wish we were as fit as she was, and certainly. But
yeah. So who do you predict will win? Like, if it ends up being, the championship wouldn't be Serena and Osaka, which kind of stinks because that would be an exciting match. But it's either going to be Serena or Osaka. So I was going to ask you, who do you think would win between them two? But
well, I think Osaka will beat Serena, probably in 3 sets would be my guess. And I figure,
really?
yeah, I think Osaka, just because she's younger, I think she can outlast Serena a little bit. I mean, she has a good serve.
Yeah, I mean, Serena is really strong though, and her serves are really good.
Yeah, so you're going with Serena then?
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying she'll win. I'm just saying that there are some perks about her, but Osaka is more consistent, so.
I think Osaka will probably win it all. I'm not sure how good that, Ashley Barty is as the number 1 seed, but really I think Osaka should have been the number 1 seed, but the tennis ranking system is kind of, if you don't play, you kind of go down, even though you might be better. Like Serena Williams is number 10, but she could probably be number 3, so.
Yeah.
But Well, I think that just about does it. We're reaching about 25 minutes here. And, you know, this was good. Maybe we'll have you on, try this one more time next week to discuss the semifinals and the championship matches. Maybe Nadal gets his 21st to take the lead for most Grand Slams. I'm hoping he doesn't as a Federer fan, but it'll be interesting. And Serena, I mean, she's always capable of winning. But yeah.
That is true.
So you have anything else to add?
I mean, hey, you should always, to people out there who have not tried tennis, try it. It is the best sport ever. And hey, if you get it professionally, if you get in the profession, what am I saying?
If you can play at the professional level.
Yeah. You get a lot of money. So, but it's just a fun sport, and you can play it when you're older. It's fun. You can honestly just go out by yourself and practice your serves. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be basically living on the courts this summer. So.
Yep, does not sound like a bad plan. And I think we're all looking forward to the summer after this winter snowstorm. So
I am ready for that to be over.
But so I think that just about wraps it up. I think we're going to end up putting this in as part of the podcast, and then it'll also be just a separate video for those of you that just want to live in the world of tennis for a half hour. So thank you very much, Faith, for coming on, and maybe we'll see you next week and in the future for more Grand Slam discussions.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Hope to see you again.
Yes, and thank you all for listening, and have a good night.